Maybelle, and your host with White Labs, an e-commerce marketing agency. Today's guest, we have Christine. Christine, feel free to introduce yourself and let our viewers know a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Hi, my name is Christine Carlson, and my company is Maybelle. I'm based in Maplewood, New Jersey, which is a suburb of New York City. I do a lot of my work in New York. I upcycle vintage wedding dresses. I'm a designer, and after years in the fashion industry, I started my own business. Throughout my career, I saw all the product move to China. So when I first started designing and, when I was out of school, I would work with sewers, drapers, pattern makers, and like a whole back room. And eventually that all moved to China, over several years. And I wanted to get back to working with heirloom dressmakers, talented pattern makers, really work with people in the United States locally. Keep that alive.
Awesome. Well, tell me more about as much as you can tell about more about your brand.
So what I do, Maybelle, is really a collection of vintage dresses that I have taken and unseamed, restored, and redesigned. And then I also have a custom offer where I can take your own heirloom dress and remake it for your event. I mainly do weddings. I do work with some mothers of the bride, and I do some other custom work, but it's mainly bridal. That's my focus.
Awesome. Well, who's your exact target audience that you have?
I would say my target audience is mainly between 29 and 39 years old, okay. First-time brides.
Okay.
Like I said, often they have their mother's dress or their grandmother's dress,
yep.
But not always. Sometimes they just love vintage, and they don't want to. They want to have a one-of-a-kind dress that's not from a big box store, that's not from China, that's more personalized.
And you offer dresses yourself too?
Yes. Yes.
What makes you different than your competitor?
Well, honestly, I'm the only person I know that's doing what I'm doing, at least here locally, in my region. I think I'm different from a tailor because of my design background. So if somebody brought their dress to a tailor, they could say, I want this ball gown made short. But when someone brings me their ball gown, I usually suggest other things, like, why don't we totally redo the neckline? Or this would be more flattering if we took off the yellowed sequins, or it's really more of a total redesign.
It makes total sense. What is your best-selling dress?
Well, all my dresses are one of a kind. So
yeah.
Yeah. So there really is no bestseller, but I would say what people look for, I find, is like sheerness, lightness. Even if we use like beautiful vintage lace, they want it to be lined in chiffon. Most vintage dresses are very heavily lined and inner lined. I don't know if you know what that means, but they often have like a paper lining inside of them. So that's why they really need to be redesigned for modern brides.
Yeah, of course. I know all about that. No, I have no idea. What are I am married, but I know nothing about dresses. What are some successful activities you've done to promote the brand?
I try to do as much in-person events where I can meet brides, because I feel like that community is really important. I've done the Manhattan Vintage Show, which is really highly attended event that people line up around the block for. And then I also do bridal shows. Yeah. So I like meeting people. And I think that's kind of what's hard for what I do is when I have it online, I can have beautiful photographs. It's not the same as seeing it in person. It just, they take on a different life in person, and people really respond to that.
I totally get it. And where is your store located?
My studio is in Maplewood, New Jersey.
Okay.
So the events I do are really all in Manhattan. I just did one in Westchester like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah. But
no, go ahead.
Oh, a lot of my brides do come from Manhattan here because it's about a 20-minute ride. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So most of our listeners are entrepreneurs. So what are some challenges that you had in the past few years that you've had, and then how did you overcome them?
Well, I really started this brand. It was COVID. So
Oh, okay.
that was really difficult. So it's like, how do people know who I find me, basically?
Yeah.
So I worked with SEO people, did some blogging, worked on my website, that kind of thing. I had a couple in-person events. It seemed like whenever I lined something up, then it got canceled. So it was really difficult at first. But I think we've moved past that. And yeah, I think just I'm trying to do more bridal events now. That's new for me in 2024. I did my first one in January. So I'm trying
Awesome.
to broaden my outreach.
That's great. What any advice you can give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to enter the bridal wedding industry?
Let's see. I mean, I've been in the bridal industry for years. I think it's really changing. And I
Hmm.
think there's room for many points of view. You don't have to have a bunch of cookie cutter dresses. I think that this new generation coming up, they're interested in sustainability, and it's not just the materials, it's who made my dress, where was it made. The whole sustainability thing, I think, is really something. If I were coming up, I would look into that.
I'm sure you've looked into
Yeah.
it. what what is your future plan with your brand and yourself?
I my my dream or my goal is really to have a brick and mortar space.
Okay.
Kind of because of what I was telling you earlier. I think that people need to see the dresses in person, and it would just make me more visible. So that's my goal.
Okay. Anything else that I have not asked you that you want our listeners to know about yourself, the brand, anything that you want to get out there that I haven't asked?
I think, let me think. I think if you want to start your own company, just do a lot of research. There's a lot of resources out there. That's what I
Hmm.
would say. I know I'm kind of talking about entrepreneurship, not so much about my brand, but yeah, I learned, I think slowly, which maybe everybody does, that there's just a lot of resources out there, and if you it's organic, I think,
Of
too, is
course.
what I'm trying to say. So things don't happen overnight, but if you just try to take one step at a time and make progress, a little progress even every day, then it adds up.
That's great advice. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot.
Thank
Well,
you.
Christine, I appreciate you coming on the podcast and learning more about Maybelle and yourself, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
It
you
was
so
fun.
much.